Okay, so we got he having feared because it was pertaining to several people. Okay, then this is a fear clause. You know it's a fear clause because it's introduced by a fearing word. Okay, and it's in the subjunctive. Remember, fearing clause kind of translates as the opposite, like a nay clause is positive and an ut clause is negative. So you're going to say, that the state would revolt at the pressure of them. That the state would revolt because of the pressure of them. Okay, then go down to Eubit. He orders Lucius Plancus. He orders Lucius Plancus to set out. I don't think that it's an indirect statement. I think it's just a plain old accusative here. Okay. So he orders Lucius Plancus to set out with a legion from Belgium quickly, into the Carnutes, and to spend the winter there, and to send to him. Okay, and then this is your accusative. To send to him those having been arrested, or send to them these having been arrested. Sorry, both get that host in there. Of whom he had learned that Tasgestas had been killed. I have to get that opera in there. So I guess it would be, and of whom, by their work, he had known that Tasgestius had been killed. Okay, meanwhile, he certior factus est is he was made more certain. Okay, then you got this ablative of agent by all the legates and the quaestor. Okay, this is actually dative. To whom he had handed over the legions. That they had arrived at the winter quarters, and that the place had been fortified for the winter. Okay, let's look at the next. Okay, in around 15 days, in which they came, literally it has been come, but you can say it in English, they came. Into the winter quarters. Okay, I know this is into because Hiberna, I'm pretty sure, is neuter. The beginning of a sudden tumult, like a sudden disturbance, and of a rebellion was rising by Ambiorix and Catuvolcus, who, when okay, this Priestophuiscent goes together, and Pristo takes the dative. Okay, so it's like when they had been at hand for Sabinus and Cotta. At the borders of their own kingdom, and they had brought grain into the winter quarters. I'm kind of confused because I don't know where the so I guess this is the end of the cum clause. Having been incited, it says it's a nominative, and it modifies qui and governs the three presenting words. Okay, so it modifies qui. So, having been incited by the messengers of by the messengers of Indutio Maurus the Treveran, they stirred up. What did they stir up? They stirred up, their own men, and I'm going to ablative absolute, and suddenly with their woodcutters having been crushed, they came with a large band of men to attack the camp. So this says this is a supine. It expresses purpose, and it may be translated as an infinitive. So they came with a large band of men to attack the camps. To attack. Okay, you may think this is hand, but it can also be merry band of men. Okay. When our men quickly had seized their arms and had climbed up the wall and one from the part of the Spanish horsemen. Nope. Fail. Let's go back to that part. So, and one on, let's see, back up. Let's erase. This is a prepositional phrase. And on one side, and this is an ablative absolute, with the Spanish horsemen having been sent out. Okay, they had been superior in the equestrian battle, which I think is all the Romans. Then we got the enemies with things being desperate. They withdrew their own men from the attack. Dun dun dun. Okay, just to get 26, I'm going to go on to the start of lesson 20. Then they shouted, like, according to their own customs. Okay, they shouted that someone from our men would go forth for a talk. So this is an ut clause. Don't get, this is not utor. Okay? It's not utor. It's an ut. It's an indirect command based on conglomerate. Okay? And then it introduces an indirect statement. So, like, you have to stick, like, they said that they themselves had things which they wished to say about the common interest, by which things they were hoping that the controversies were able to be lessened. That's a present passive infinitive right there. Okay, so the question I have here is, what is left said or left unsaid? Like, what really happened here? You know, what is Caesar, how is Caesar kind of projecting what he thinks, his version of the facts? Okay, so let's get this last part of 27. So we got, there is sent to them for the sake of speaking That's a gerund. Gaius Arpenius, a Roman knight, a friend of Quintus Titurius. Okay, remember Quintus Titurius is Sabinus. And Quintus Unius, like a certain Quintus Unius from Spain, who already before had been accustomed to go frequently. This is a frequentative verb. Okay, because because that TIT means it's happening over and over again. So had been accustomed to go frequently to Ambiorix, by the sending of Caesar. So Caesar had sent him as an emissary before.